Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, I am here weekly to talk about life, pregnancy, and relationships. Just a bunch of honest videos about my view on things, and I definitely don't take myself very seriously. I am currently 7.5 months or almost 8 months pregnant. Either way, don't let this deter you if you're not wanting to get pregnant or not pregnant. It has nothing to do with this video. No, I didn't go off birth control and then got pregnant. That's not how this worked. It was a conscious choice after a few years to try and get pregnant. But today's video is very important to me because it's all about birth control and how going off of birth control really changed my life in a lot of really cool ways. How does going off of birth control affect your life? Obviously, it's not the same for everyone. It might be a completely different experience for you, but I've now known enough people that had a similar experience that I feel like this is important for people to know how it can positively affect your life. I mean, it's a huge decision to go off of birth control, right? There's so many pros and cons on both sides. We all had a reason to go on birth control. And the biggest reason is because, well, we want to be protected from not getting pregnant when we don't want to. But also a lot of people do it because of acne, or there's just so many reasons to do it. It's almost not a question. Every girl just does it. Even though I feel like now actually we do have a trend in the other direction again, starting slowly. But I'm 32 now, and when I was 15, it was kind of no question. Like, everybody just went on birth control. Nobody was thinking about how that could negatively affect you. And I didn't really go off it until I was 30. That's 15 years of pumping hormones in your body that changes everything in your body. The first thing that changes when you go off of birth control is that you don't have to take this little thing every single day at the same time. I don't know how you are right now. I've gotten a lot better now that I'm pregnant, because now it's not for me, it's for someone else, right? Now that I have to take like prenatal vitamins and all this other stuff, I'm fine. I take it every day at the exact same time. I never forget it. When it's for me, I forget that shit all the time. To tell you the truth, it is astounding that I didn't accidentally get pregnant all those years, because I was not very good with birth control. I forgot it a lot, like a lot. And I never took it at the same time, ever. Somebody once told me that like you can take it in like a 12-hour window basically, and if it's not 12 hours yet, then it still counts. I always took it like sometimes like 11 hours later, 10 hours. Which that in itself is bad. And I heard that actually that can make you a little hormonal and crazier. So maybe it's all my fault. I should have just taken the pill. It's probably all my fault. Should have just taken it at the same time every day. Just the day I didn't have to take it anymore, it felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulder. I can't quite describe it. It just felt so freeing not to be bound to this little packet anymore. And then what happened to a lot of my friends, most of us lost weight when we went off birth control. We lost like that water weight or whatever. For me, in the first few weeks, I dropped, I would say 6 pounds. And then though, for a lot of my friends, it stayed off. For me, it actually kind of crept back again a little bit. And then I just had to eat healthy and work out, and it was fine again. But I'm just saying, in general, it helped. And it's not only the weight that falls off, it's actually your body turning back into that shape that it was meant to be. I don't know, it's weird to describe, but it's like your hips and your ass and everything, it just changes a little bit. It's minor, but if you're like me and you're really in tune with your body, you notice it. Hormones are such a huge deal, you guys. Hormones change everything in our system. It makes such a huge difference. If your hormones are off, you can be in an immensely different state than if your hormones are exactly the way they're supposed to be. And let me tell you, it's really hard to get your hormones to where they should be, because it's not just estrogen and progesterone. It's not just all of those. It's a huge subject that I could go on and on and on about. I'm just saying hormones make a huge difference in your personality, in your body, in everything. So back to the body shape, it just brings your body back to the shape that it was supposed to be without being interfered with. And I think that's just nice. And it doesn't matter if that's a little bigger or a little smaller, to be honest with you. It just matters that that's That's your body again. Then another thing that changed for a lot of people that I know is that the sex drive changed drastically. For me as well, especially in the beginning where I was like, whew, I would have wanted to do it with everyone I saw that was male. No, it's true. No, it's true. I did. I had a phase where I like kind of went back to being a little bit of a teenager. I mean, I didn't act upon it because I was in a relationship already and with my now husband. But yeah, I got that drive back for sure. Another thing that my sister actually told me about is that a woman's cycle is usually like the 4 seasons. We start with our period, so that's kind of like the winter season where we're really, we want to hibernate. We don't want anyone to talk to us too much or tell us what to do. And then comes spring, where it's like before ovulation and we're really, getting in the mood again. And then summer ovulation, where we're feeling really good. It's like the best season for most of us. And then we go back into fall, like before we start our periods again, where it's starting to get a little darker for us again, for our mind. And yes, that's why people think we're crazy as women, because we are going through these seasons every single month, and we have a winter and a fall every single month. So don't you judge us, because in fall and winter, sometimes we're not in the best mood. Don't judge us for that. But here's the thing, when you're on birth control, you don't have those seasons. No. You stay in fall and winter the whole time because you don't ovulate. So you don't have spring, you don't have summer, you only have fall and winter. I didn't realize it until I went off of birth control, but once I went off of birth control, I realized that I had been a little bit depressed for 15 years. I wasn't myself. I wasn't as happy as I could have been. But the biggest change for me, and I swear this was because of birth control, and other friends of mine have said the same thing, going off of birth control made me so much less psycho. Granted, I'm still not the most really have to think here how to put that, balanced. Well, right now I'm pregnant. It's hard to say. I'm just not a very zen person, I would say, in general. But it did make me significantly less psycho going off of birth control. So when I was on birth control, I had this huge jealousy issue. I was so jealous of my boyfriends. I always wanted to control them. I always felt like they would be cheating on me. They would leave me, all these things. And I would also get really angry really fast. And I almost couldn't control that feeling of that anger rising in me. And honestly, sometimes I was like, maybe I need anger management classes, because I would just get so jealous. And usually the anger would just show in tears, because my anger is usually tears. But still, it's like that anger feeling that you don't want to have. And when I finally went off birth control, that changed to a much more secure person. And only now, or a few months in, I realized why I was so jealous in the first place. I mean, I just didn't have self-love. I was so insecure that I felt like I projected onto my significant others. They would also think that I'm not good enough, whatever, even though I was the one thinking I'm not good enough. And it was because I wasn't myself, because of those goddamn hormones. And as soon as I got off birth control, something switched within me, where I had what normal people should be thinking all the time, best case scenario, is that you just know you are good enough. I just started having those thoughts of well, if that guy cheats on me or leaves me, then that's his loss, not mine. I'll be fine no matter what. It was 10 years of therapy by just going off of birth control. We can go back to the whole thing of the seasons, right? If you're always stuck in this fall winter season, you'd be different than if you have all the seasons again and you're finally experiencing the spring and the summer, the actual ovulation. Our bodies are made to make babies. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying everybody has to make babies, not at all. I'm just saying the cycle of our bodies is made to do what it's doing, like ovulating every single month. It's kind of crazy that we're changing that in our bodies, that we're just stopping this whole process. And so obviously we're not going to be the same people, even personality wise, when we're taking drugs like that. And that's the other thing. When you do go off of birth control, you start to feel your cycle again. The ovulation, I started to feel it every single time I felt that I'm ovulating. I had those ovulation pains, but again, I'm very in tune with my body, so I can feel like I feel everything in my body, but I knew exactly always every month on what side the egg was being released. I knew exactly where I was ovulating and when I was ovulating, which obviously also helped with birth control, natural birth control, because I knew when I was ovulating, so I just would be very careful around those days. And yes, of course, with feeling your ovulation finally also comes that you might be very much more aware of your period in terms of pain. And that's nothing I want to play down, because it is true. For a lot of people, periods do get a lot worse. For me, just the first one after going off of birth control, the period came back with like a vengeance. She was back. But I was also very lucky. I went right as I went off of birth control, the next month, I already had regular periods again. I know people who waited 6 months for the period to come back, or a year, or 2 or 3 months, and that all is totally normal. And I think you just have to know that that can happen. As long as you're not trying to get pregnant right away, that's also not an issue. Of course, let's talk birth control, because if you're not trying to get pregnant, what you need to do obviously is to really be careful around the week of ovulation. If you have irregular periods, this might be a lot harder for you. The Clue app, I think it's fantastic. And so I always kind of knew when I was ovulating, and within that whole week or even a little more, we would just use condoms and then we'd be fine. So we did that for a year with the app, trying not to, and it worked out fine. And then we started to try. We didn't have to wait too long. In fact, it happened very quickly. I think the first time we tried, I did get pregnant. Unfortunately, we had lost that first pregnancy, which was really tough. But then a few months later, I would say like 4 months later, it worked again. And now we're almost there. So that's very exciting. But yeah, I can only recommend the Clue app. I think in general, what we can say about going off of birth control, what it did for me, it just felt like I was finally coming back to the person, body and personality wise, that I was meant to be. So no hate to birth control, but also a little hate to birth control, because it just makes you crazy. If you're anything like me and you're a little crazy and you're a little jellyfishing, stop jellyfishing. Go off of birth control. It'll be great. It'll be a great experience. I hope. I think I said everything I wanted to say about this. Well, I hope you liked this quick video on going off of birth control. And please like the video, comment your experience, subscribe. I'd love to connect with you. And I will be back next week with a relationship video. And my husband is going to be a part of it. So stay tuned. It's going to be something.